Are you a motherless daughter? What if we told you we have 20 years worth of truth treasures, pearls of wisdom, and diamonds of hope to help you with your mother loss? We do, and we share all things mother loss on Nurturing Words, Voices of Experience, a podcast by the Motherless Daughters Ministry. Give yourself some self-care and listen as we discuss grief, regret, anger, redemption, closure, and so much more.
Hello, I'm Gladys Bell, your host. Today, Maika Lansing interviews the Motherless Daughters Ministry Executive Director, Danyetta Najoli, about our connection and conversation circles. As one of the newer opportunities, these conversations are designed to cultivate community around unique types of mother loss. Over 4 weekly gatherings, attendees can build a connection to others with a shared experience. Each circle focuses on special themes such as narcissism, loss by suicide, emotional absence, and traumatic loss. If you are blessed by our ministry and would like to give back through a donation, please check our show notes for a link. As a nonprofit working to reach motherless daughters, we appreciate your support. Every donation helps make a difference in providing content for motherless daughters. Now, let's go right to the interview.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Maika Lansing. I am a new volunteer in the ministry, and I'm so happy to be interviewing Danyetta today. Much more long-time volunteer in the ministry, and just a great just source of wisdom. And we're very happy to be interviewing you, and somebody who has had such a large role in the connection circles as well. The ministry has impacted me so much personally. Like, I found out about it last semester. I'm a college student, and I was just looking up resources for motherless daughters, and I found just this website. It was it felt like such a beacon of light to find something like this. And just truly a faith-based organization dedicated to motherlessness, and not just through death, but through really, any form of mother loss is just such a beautiful thing to have. And I'm just so grateful. So the Motherless Daughters Ministry is a faith-based organization dedicated to serving women who have lost or missed the nurturing care of a mother, either by death, emotional abandonment, or as the daughter of a narcissistic mother. And here we offer individual, group, online, or in-person services and courses, and meet you where you are emotionally and mentally with self-help, healing, guidance, and holistic opportunities. So Danyetta has a really large role in the connection circles, and I would love it if you would tell us about the origin and how they started.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Maika, for interviewing me and tapping into this part of the ministry that is really so important. It speaks to our evolution of how we're growing and meeting the needs of women all over. So I started as an executive director of the ministry back in January of 2025. And so I'm excited to just continue to think about different ways we can meet women where they are. And one of the things that we thought of last year was to, first of all, let me take you back to the tension we were having, I guess you could say, around when we were doing the support groups. The support groups are the monthly groups that meet for about an hour. And the thing about support groups is that people can come to a support group one month and maybe they would come the next month, but maybe they wouldn't come the next month. And so what we saw with the support groups is that a sense of community was not really being, cultivated just based on the way we held those groups. And really support groups are something that's very common when it comes to services in ministry or just when you're working with people, large groups, if they're in grieving situations or any kind of way to, gather people. Support groups are very common in that way. So we're not unique in that. But what we wanted to do was find a way where we can build community amongst the women who would come to something that we could offer that was beyond a 1-month commitment. And so with these connection and conversation circles, that gave us an opportunity to create a theme around a certain type of mother loss. So For instance, if we have Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers as a group, we might have a theme around that particular type of mother loss. And people could join this connection and conversation circles, and it would not be just once a month, but it would be 4 weeks, 4 consecutive weeks, so that people can say, okay, well, I'm coming back and I'm going to reconnect with the same people that came to this connection circle last week and just build community and be able to kind of wrestle with some of the same dilemmas that they may be up against and know that they're not alone because they literally have someone that they're going to be engaging with every week. So that was a really big shift for the ministry. And we feel like it gave people an opportunity to, feel connected and feel like they're not alone in a real way.
That is incredible. I'm sure that you've impacted like so many people with it. And it's so beautiful that there's just a place for people to come back to, and just a reliability of knowing that there's the same people there is wonderful. Yeah. Could you tell us like about more of like the different groups? Like you mentioned the narcissistic mothers one, and just like kind of just the various connection circles that people can be a part of.
Yeah. So, with that whole idea of creating, the connection and conversation circles, we wanted to provide a compassionate and supportive space for women navigating life without the presence of a nurturing mother. The circles offer this opportunity to share experiences, to process their strong or big emotions, and build connections with others who understand the complexities of their journey. So an example, as I mentioned, was the narcissism, Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers. We also have daughters who have lost their mothers by suicide as well. And I just want to touch on that for a moment because I'll share the other groups as well. But that I had the opportunity, because that's my personal story. I had the opportunity also of co-leading that group a couple of times last year. And we had people in the group from as far away as India joining the group. It was a very tender feel to the group, that it was very noticeable. The women, they were really in the throes of it. And a couple of women had lost their moms when they were very young. So, and they were maybe in their 30s. So, that's an example of one of the groups. We also have Daughters of Emotionally Absent Mothers as a group as well. Again, each of the weeks, they're grappling with different themes. Another example are motherless daughters who are simply surviving loss as a broad experience for them. And so that's a group. We also have a group on forgiveness. If they're on that road to forgiveness, trying to figure out, like, what does it look like? How do I forgive when it's really hard and it's really like palpable and right here and very present for people, and they wrestle with that. So we have a group on forgiveness, on those who have recently lost their mothers as well, because we understand that recent loss might land differently than someone who has lost their mom maybe decades ago, or, there's a difference there. Women who are mothering without a mother, which is another group that we have a connection and conversation circle for. And with that group, it's really another tender space too, because a lot of women are in the throes of mothering their children, their young children. They may have a young family or even teenagers, but without a mother being present to help them through those difficult situations or different milestones. I mean, that's a real place where women are coming together within the circles. Also, another topic is mothers raising an adopted or foster daughter. Mm-hmm. Also, women who have experienced sudden or traumatic loss, mother loss. And we have one session coming up, and I'll talk a little bit about that too, but we have that group coming up in March. Mother loss by addiction, women experiencing death of their narcissistic mother, and also mother loss through adoption, when you discover your biological mother has passed on, because that's another place where people then have this other space of, I need to connect with other people to help me process this information and feel like they're not alone. So yeah, there's lots of different groups, and a lot of those groups, they have formed based on the women who come and volunteer in the ministry, who have that scenario, and they've expressed an interest as well. And I know we also are we already have sent out like a program planning survey to find out from women, what are some of the other topics you want to experience in Connection and Conversation Circle.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is so incredible, like how many niches you have all found, and just that's just a beautiful thing to have a space for truly every like version of mother loss. It's amazing. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, we also tried we know that narcissism is one of the more prevalent situations, unfortunately, with a lot of women. So if you notice, there were a few of those connection and conversation circles that were focused on that particular type of mother loss. And also, I want to say we actually kicked off the connection and conversation circles with the Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers, just to, see like what kind of response we would also get. And we had a really robust response to the point where, and this is what we'd like to see with this connection and conversation circle, but it was to the point where women decided to connect after the 4 weeks on their own, just create their own group so that they then would have this continual sisterhood or, a way to connect with other women and support each other. So we found that to be really, really positive. And we really encourage that. We want them to feel like they're connected. They have a real person that they can work through things with. And of course, the ministry has many different programs as well and ways that we support women. But of course, we love it when people connect and bond.
Totally. That is so wonderful that people stayed in contact after it was over. Like that's so beautiful. Wow. And
Yes.
it's just so wonderful that you've been able to facilitate something that just changes and impacts people's lives so long term. For it, like
Yeah.
experiences, like do you have any that stand out to you just from like either facilitating them, or I'm not sure if you've participated in them yourself, just any experiences that have stood out to you? I'd really love to hear about from the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a couple of experiences that stand out to me with the connection and conversation circles. The one I'll speak to is when we had the one with the Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers. Many of the women, in fact, I can think of one woman in particular who said, wow, were you in my same household? Because I experienced the same thing that you just said. And to me, that statement alone was a testament that we felt like we struck a nerve where we were connecting women, to just feel validated and be seen and heard to the point that their lived experiences were real to them and that other women can relate to them. Because a lot of times the women and I speak for myself too, as a motherless daughter, a lot of times when you're in your life and you're doing life, you're probably the only one in that circle that has experienced the same type of mother loss or that even understands what you might be going through. So it can feel very isolating socially, even though you might be surrounded by loved ones, doing life and all of that. That's fine. But we're speaking to a specific way to support women around mother loss. It is a club that nobody would wish to belong to, right? And that's the truth. But the fact is that we are here to build women up and to lift them up, not only to identify as that motherless daughter, but being a person of faith, we also know we're daughters of the King. And that's another identity that we hope people gather and glean when they get connected to the ministry. So yeah, hearing her say like, oh my goodness, you sound like you were right in my household, that to me, that statement alone was like really, it was a positive for me because it let me know that they are connecting and that they're being seen and heard. And that's what we want to create, an environment, a space, a container by which women feel like they can come in as a haven amid all of the other things that might be going on in their lives.
We're going to take a short break to share some information, then we'll hear the rest of the interview.
Mother loss is a lifelong grief journey. The scars go deep and the pain is relentless. It affects every aspect of a woman's being, regardless of age of loss or how the loss occurred. The hole is deep and filled with many emotions. You are invited to our online support community with the Motherless Daughters Ministry online support groups, focusing on the journey and the difficult obstacles that get in the way of healing. To learn more about our weekly support group offerings, visit us online at motherlessdaughtersministry.com.
And so the other thing that really stood out to me was, when I was a part of this other connection and conversation circle, I co-led Mother Loss by Suicide. And, again, to meet someone on the other side of the world, essentially, who had the same type of loss and even the same age of loss, because we had both lost our moms when we were really young, under 6 years old. And just having someone that you can see with that same experience, of course, it's going to be slightly different because everyone's situation is different. But in terms of the type of mother loss, that really did something for my soul. And it really encouraged me to know that we're moving in the right direction with this particular type of circle, because we still keep in touch. The woman that I had ended up co-leading a session with, because she had come to the ministry, and then we ended up co-leading a session on mother loss by suicide together. And so just giving women an opportunity to feel empowered when they're ready to, lead other women in that way. It feels good to be able to say, okay, well, we actually have a place for you if you would like, to lead other women. As you're healing and growing, you can actually be helping others to heal and grow too, which is a beautiful thing. And it's definitely a high point for me.
That is like just beyond beautiful. That's so wonderful. Wow.
Thanks.
It's so true that, I feel like in people's personal lives, it is so true that there's not necessarily a space to connect with other motherless daughters who have experienced motherlessness at all, like
right,
particularly at my age, or just like motherlessness from a specific thing. Like, I don't know, for me, like being in college, like so many of my friends have like a fatherless sort of situation. And obviously not to diminish that, but I feels, I was so happy to have found the ministry because I really was the only person experiencing motherlessness. So it's really just amazing to.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You found us. We're glad you found us, definitely.
I'm so happy I found everyone. Yeah, totally. And for like speaking more to being daughters of the King, and how I really, really love just how, I don't know, just how the circles seem to have facilitated like processing motherlessness through deepening of faith, and sort of like how that has maybe helped people to alchemize their pain. I would just really love if you spoke more to, I'm just so curious about just the faith aspect of the circles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and with us, I mean, we are a ministry, and we're faith-based, and we serve women from all walks of life, and, from all faith traditions even. So we welcome everyone. And that's important for us, to articulate. And at the same time, we have hills that we stand on as a ministry, and we have it on our website, of course, in terms of who we are and our faith tradition. But we make sure that we welcome everyone. And as an example, in the connection and conversation circles, when we open up, we could open up with a prayer, but we could also open up with a poem or another sacred text that's important to us. It's just a way to let people know that in this ministry, first of all, we're really grateful that we are, as far as I've seen, we're the only ministry that is focused on motherless daughters. And that makes us feel good, because we're not clinicians, we're not therapists or, psychiatrists or anything like that. We are everyday people who have come together and said we want to join around this particular cause, because it's very important to us, because we're living it, number one, and we want to build community around it. And, the fact that it's a ministry, it just lets us shine that light on our belief system that welcomes everyone into this fold. We know that mother loss has it sees no race, no creed, no religion, no geographical boundary, no socioeconomic status. I mean, it really can hit anyone, any woman at any time. And so because of that, we want to make sure our doors are open to women. And we hope that also exemplifies, our faith, that we're welcoming, that we want people to get what they need along this journey. It is a healing journey. And we know that people enter at different stages. So I would just say we don't proselytize, we don't make people or convert people into, Christ following, but we do have the hills that we stand on in terms of being a ministry that's founded by faith in God and in Jesus Christ.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is just, it's so incredible that there's just a ministry dedicated to this. It's just the most wonderful thing. Are
Yes.
there like any, like maybe specific connection circles or just anything with the ministry coming up that you would like to share for the listeners?
Yes, yes. We have, and I'm gonna take a minute to kind of pull it up on my end so I can speak directly to the accuracy of this. We usually have connection and conversation circles happening throughout the year. Like last year, we had them pretty much going on throughout the year, and we host different ones. So coming up, we have one coming up in March 3rd, and it's called Circles for Women Who Have Experienced Sudden or Traumatic Mother Loss. And so participants are gently guided to name their experience, understand trauma responses that may come up, and grieve at their own pace without pressure to explain or fix or simply just move on. Definitely not our posture. And so each week we'll cover different themes, for this particular series. But I want to give you more information in terms of when the event will start. So it is March 3rd, starting at 7:30 p.m. and it goes until 9. Because our connection and conversation circles, unlike the support groups, which are an hour, the connection and conversation circles are an hour and a half. So we give a little bit more time. The women that come to the connection and conversation circles will have time to pair off into small groups, breakouts, and be able to engage that way and help them process the questions that they're being asked and make it their own. So yes, March 3rd, 7:30 starts our connection and conversation circle for sudden or traumatic mother loss. I'll actually be co-leading that with another group leader. And so I'm excited to be able to share that. And each week we're going to look at a different thing. The first week we're going to look at when the world stops. There's shock, disbelief, and survival mode that happens, because when you think about sudden or traumatic loss, no one's expecting it. And it can be really jolting. The second week, the pain that arrives later, we'll look at that and how there's delayed grief oftentimes. There's different feelings too that come up, whether they are experiencing anger or fear or a lot of unanswered questions. So we'll grapple with that in week 2. Week 3, we're going to look at living without what was supposed to be. Again, the identity begins to shift, because again, you're in sudden and traumatic loss, things are shifting and changing and navigating life without your mother. Like, how does that look? The final week, we will be carrying love forward, looking at, what does this now mean, for me? What kind of meaning can I make of this? How do I remember my mom? What kind of ways are we hopeful, even if it's cautious hope? So we'll look at all 4 of those weeks in that way. You'll be gently guided through that process through 2 group leaders. And we hope that those that are listening will be able to register for that.
The ministry is just so lucky to have you as a resource here. Like, I can feel like just how much passion and just the intelligence and everything that you have.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
I feel very blessed. Honestly, I don't take it lightly that I'm in the role and that I get to meet women where they are. To me, it's a very sacred thing. It's a very special thing, to be able to, just have stepped a couple of steps further. And I do mean just a couple, because we're all in this journey together. But to be able to look on the other side of a screen or even in person and meet women where they are, knowing that I feel like the ministry holds a light in a very dark tunnel to show them the way towards the healing, the way towards that light that's leading us out. Yeah. So I feel really blessed and privileged to be in the role to support other women.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your willingness to be interviewed today, Danyetta. It's really such a blessing to interview you and just to hear about all of the things that the conversation circles have done for women.
Thanks so much, Maika, for taking the time to interview me. I really appreciate your presence in the ministry as well. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and talk about this. I look forward to working with you in the future as well.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
If you are in need of more nurturing words, we encourage you to listen to our other episodes. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you can join us next time. We don't want to miss you. We have many Motherless Daughter resources on our website at www.motherlessdaughtersministry.com. You can also find us on our YouTube channel and Facebook at Motherless Daughters Ministry. We hope you'll come visit us, and we look forward to joining us next time.